Hey everyone, and welcome to my latest sewing tutorial. This week I'll be upcycling an old polo top I've had for a while, and you can wear it in two ways. You can either wear it with the collar on, or you can get rid of the collar and give it more of a sexy look, which you can wear off the shoulder or just as a low plunge top. So let's get started with what you will need. Your polo shirt, elastic about 2 inch wide, matching thread, a sewing machine, scissors, tailor's chalk or a pencil. So what you're going to do first is put on your polo top and see where you want it to sit. I wanted it to be on my natural waist, so as I've said many a times, you just tilt to the side and measure where you want it to be. You have to measure the width of your elastic and mark it down about double the size of your elastic because we're going to fold it eventually. Once you have marked where you want it to sit, you're just going to cut exactly where you want it to sit, and then you can turn your top inside out and we'll move on from there. Once you've prepped your top for the elastic, you're just going to measure the amount of elastic you need. You just do this by placing your elastic around where you want it to sit and just making sure it's a bit snug, not too snug because you don't want it to be tight, but just snug enough to kind of sit where you want it to fit you. Once you're happy with the fit of your elastic, we're just going to prep it and prepare it to be attached to our top. You do this by getting the end of the elastic and putting it on one side of the seam. Oh sugar, I forgot to mention that you should fold it in half and mark first, just so you know the halfway point when we're stitching it. And then you put the end of the elastic onto the seam of the top and pin it in place. And this just helps us to hold it in place and have it secure while we're making our way around, because it is going to be a lot of tugging and we have to keep it in line with the top of our top. So when you're pinning it in place, just make sure that the top of your elastic is on the top of the top as well, as I've got it there, and then you just pin the seam there, and then you're just going to do a zigzag stitch across. Now that we've pinned our elastic in place, we can take it to our sewing machine and just start zigzagging along the top of the elastic and our top. It can be a bit difficult and there's a lot of tugging because obviously your elastic is going to be smaller than the width of the top itself. So what you should do or could do to make it easier for you, because it helps me a lot, is just stretch it as you're going along and just look out for that halfway marking that you did before, because that halfway marking shouldn't be able to make it to the other seam. So you really have to stretch. As you can see, my sewing machine was moving back and forth. That's how hard you have to pull it. But just pull the elastic, don't pull your top, because then you're stretching at your top. You just need to stretch the elastic to make sure that it can go all the way around. So just keep looking out for where you mark the halfway point and just make sure that it can reach the seam. To make it easier, once you've sewn halfway, you can then put the marking of your elastic onto that, pin it onto that seam, so it just makes it a bit easier for you to get all the way around. And then my tag was getting on my nerves, so I'll cut it out of the way. And if you have it there, it might be getting your nerves too, so just cut it away and do the same thing. Look out for the end of the elastic and just bring it around to the other side. And if it is a bit difficult, you can just pin it in place so it doesn't keep on jiggling about and getting on your nerves. This part can be a bit fiddly, but just take your time, because it's better for you to do it slowly and make sure it's all neat instead of doing it quickly and then you have to pick it. So just take your time and get yourself around and just keep stretching your elastic without stretching your top. And then once you've got it around, it's fine. Once you get to the other side, you will notice that your elastics are open. You just need to flip it over so there's no fabric underneath it, and then overlap the elastics together. Just get rid of any fabric, extra thread, because it will get stuck in your machine, and just do a zigzag stitch back and forth a couple of times. And this just helps to secure your elastic, and it keeps it very flat and it doesn't use the elasticness in it. If that's elasticness, is that even a word? But yeah, you get what I mean. But it just allows it to still have its stretch. So once you've done all of that, your top should look like this, and this, because you've done it slowly, it will just be very neat. And then you just need to fold it over, then fold it again, just to kind of disguise the elastic. And then we're going to pin it along, making sure that the elastic is pushed right down to the bottom so there's no gap there, because then it will look a bit puffy. But we're just going to pin it along and just line up the seams of where the elastic is to the rest of our top, so it's very neat and it fits and sits on wherever you want it to sit very nicely. you just pin at the top of the elastic where it's open, and then we're going to secure that in. So just take your time, stretch. I know more stretching. You won't have to do no arm exercises at the gym, but yeah, more stretching, and you just have to pin along. Just take your time and do it, because you sort of want the gathering of the fabric to be kind of equal, so it looks very neat and professionally finished. So just pin around, and then we're going to take it to our sewing machines and do a straight stitch all the way around. So now that you've pinned everything, you can take it to your sewing machine, and we're just going to do the straight stitch all along the top. So once again, yes, I know more stretching, but you just stretch as you go around, just because you want it to be all neat, but the pin should help you keep it in place. And as you're going around, just make sure that the seam of where the elastic is folded is lined up to the rest of the top. As I mentioned before, it will just make it sit better where you want it to sit. And then once you get to the end, just do a back stitch so it's very secure and in place. Then just cut away any extra threads that are hanging about, just so it's very neat. And then you get to this point. If you want to keep the collar on, then you are finished. But if not, I'm going to show you how to create the sexy plunge, which can be very versatile, because you can wear it with one off the shoulder sleeve or with both sleeves off the shoulder. So keep watching if you want to do that. To create the plunge, you just need to cut a centimetre away from the neckline. Start from the back, and then once you get to the front, cut a diagonal line right underneath where the button section finishes, so we can just create an equal line on both sides. Do this all the way around onto the other side, and then it will create this look. If you have a serger at this point, you can serge around there just to make it neat before we fold the material under, but if not, it's not an issue because I don't have one either. So we're just going to fold about 1/2 centimetre of the fabric underneath and pin it in place, and then we can do a straight stitch all the way around. So now we're going to do the straight stitch going around. Use your pins as a guideline just to help you. So stitch a little bit, and then remove a pin, just so you can make sure it's very neat, because it's the neckline, we want it to be very neat. And then just go around once. When you get to the end, don't forget to back stitch. It just helps the thread stay in place and just makes it very strong. And then once you've done it once, I did it again, going over the first stitch all the way around, just to make it feel extra secure, because like I said, I didn't have a serger / overlocker, so I wanted it to avoid fraying, which I don't think it would do, but I just wanted to be on the safe side and do the stitch twice. So I went around once at the end, back stitching, and then I went around that stitch again, just making it extra secure. So now that you've done the stitch, we're just going to get an iron with some water, because we're just going to steam around the neckline and help it get its form and shape it, so once we have it on, it sits on our neckline or sits on us nicely. So you just need to steam around the neckline and help it get its form, make it really neat, because as you saw before, it was sort of wavy and not strong, so now it's more structured. And once we've done this, we're done. I'm happy that this top turned out nice, because it was an experiment, but I like the way it sits, and I like that you can play around with it and wear it in different ways. So I hope you enjoy making it, and I might be selling it, so keep a lookout. But thank you so much for watching, and you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Makeda_Davis. See you next time.